Hi everybody, welcome back to my booktube channel. My name is Sukaja, and in this video I'm going to be doing a short book review of a book I read earlier this month. The name of this book is Pew by Lacey. Pew is a very interesting and unusual tale. In this story we come across a person. The person goes to look for a place to rest for the night and ends up sleeping on the pew of a church in a random town. And the next morning, the person wakes up, and there's quite a bit of a bustle that is created in that town. The person wakes up, and everyone in the church spots this person on the pew, and there's this family that decides to take that person in. So, what's interesting here is that the entire town gets kind of shaken up when this happens, and the person is no longer just somebody without an identity. They belong to this town, and the town's problem is to kind of figure out where this person came from, and the person doesn't speak. So, that's why there is a problem that gets magnified beyond containment. So the person is called Pew because they refuse to give a name, they refuse to talk about where they came from. This story is also a bit about trauma in that sense. We do get an idea about the fact that Pew experiences trauma in the past, and that is why they are unable to speak about anything to anybody. You notice that as people come to speak to Pew, a lot of them have a lot of stories that they wish to give off to Pew. So there's a lot of unloading that happens in the pages, and you notice that different people in the town who kind of interact with Pew end up doing all the telling, and they kind of end up going through the healing process rather than Pew. Pew is an excellent listener and does not offer anything more than a nod or a yes at the most. You kind of read this book with the anticipation of, seeing that somehow at some point Pew is going to open his mouth and start speaking. And that is what the reader is constantly waiting for. And I'm not going to say what happens in the end, but this book deals with also the fact that, towns, whole cities and communities get shaken up as and when strangers come about and become a problem of that community. For some reason, the community in this story does not give up Pew to the authorities and ask the authorities to kind of take him or her to a home. But they do want to kind of encroach upon Pew's body. And the body is very central to this text, I think, because Pew constantly has things happening to their body and talks about that, which gives a hint as to what kind of trauma Pew might have actually gone through in the past. Pew is somebody that represents, I think, to a larger extent, the immigrants that come upon United States shores from other parts of the country and other parts of the world and continent, of South America as well. And Pew, another problematic thing about him or her is the fact that they neither belong to either color, they are neither white nor are they black, and this makes it even more difficult to categorize Pew, and people in the town struggle to kind of come to terms with what this person is. They are grappling with uncertainty, they are just finding it so difficult to live without labels and without polarization, which is how a larger part of our society is structured. There is always black and white, but we don't like to question the hegemonic narrative and come up with our own thoughts about it. So because of this, people who are interacting with Pew find it really difficult to categorize this person, and all their interactions are very robotic in that they cannot function with somebody like this. They've never dealt with something like this in the past, and the town takes it upon itself to make Pew belong to certain categories, and Pew is kind of just watching passively as everybody discusses what needs to be done with Pew. So it's a very interesting and unusual tale. It does bring to mind a lot of questions which I think are very relevant basis what's going on politically speaking around the world right now. It is a book that might not be for everybody in that it is not plot based and it is not a fast paced narrative. It does have a lot of people talking and giving off their own stories in the process of speaking to Pew. That is what this narrative is largely based about. See if it's something up your street when you've read the blurb. I'm going to link the book down in the description box. If you think it's something that you find interesting, then please do give it a read. I would rate this book, I think, 3 out of 5 stars. I did have higher expectations going into this, and to a large extent did fall under what I thought this book would be about. But when I started reading this book, I actually listened to the audiobook first, and that kind of gave me a bias because in the audiobook, the narrator is somebody with a southern drawl. So you are immediately getting context. You know that Pew is coming into the southern communities that are very orthodox. You know about them that in the United States, people in the South tend to be more orthodox than people in the North in their thinking and everything else. So you don't have a timeline where to place this person, neither do you have much context as you go into the book. But when you listen to the audiobook, that's giving you a little bit of context right there. Feel free to decide which one you want to approach, whether it's the audiobook or the book itself. Maybe either might work wonders for you depending on your taste. But yeah, this is just what I wanted to say about the book, and I would give it 3 out of 5 stars simply because it was okay, and I just think that there are a lot of questions, but this would work better in a book club scenario. And the resolution didn't work out. Like, I needed something more, which didn't happen in the book, so that is why the lower rating. But otherwise, the writing style is fantastic. I think what the author set out to do was great, but then it needed further development, perhaps. I just didn't hold me completely in terms of my curiosity and enthusiasm towards the end. I think it raises very relevant questions, and it will start a conversation, which is why I think people should read Pew. Right, I hope you like this book review, and I will be back with another mini book review soon. This is me signing off. Bye bye.